Rosenborg Ballklub is a Norwegian professional football club from Trondheim that plays in Tippeligaen. Rosenborg is Norway's most successful team, having won 22 league titles, 9 Norwegian Football Cup titles and played more UEFA matches than any other Norwegian team. BK plays its home games at the all-seater Lerkendal Stadion with capacity for 21,166. Joar Hansen has been head coach since the 2013 season. The club was founded as Odd in 1917, but were not allowed to play amateur league matches until 1928, when they took the present name. They reached the League of Norway in 1937 38, but fell to lower divisions from the 1940s. The club moved to Lerkendal in 1957 and their first title was the 1960 Cup, resulting in the first participation in a UEFA tournament. It was first during the 1960s that BK established itself as Trondheim's primary football team. From 1967, BK qualified for the LOP League, where they, except for 1978, have remained since. 3 league titles were taken between 1967 and 1971. The team's golden era started with the 1985 league title, and from 1991 through 2004 the team won 13 consecutive titles, 10 under manager Nils Arne Eggen. The period also saw 11 participation in the group stage of Champions League and reaching the quarter-finals in 1996 and Euro 97. History. Early years. On May 19, 1917, 12 young men from Rosenborg in Trondheim founded Sportsklubben Odd. The name Odd was a tribute to Odd of Skien, the most successful team in Norway at the time. Odd spent their first few years playing against other local teams before attempting to join the regional series in 1920. As with most of the buddy clubs formed at the time, they were repeatedly denied access. Since many of these players also played for the bigger teams, the authorities feared a possible shortage of players if too many small clubs were let in. As the years went by, disillusioned players began leaving the club, and in 1923 the first team played only a single match. By 1926, management of the club had passed on to a new generation of members, and it was through their efforts that Odd were finally admitted into the regional series in 1927, 10 years after the club was founded. A year later, all was set for entry into the Football Association of Norway, had it not been for the fact that the association refused to have 2 member clubs with the same name. The club therefore took on its current name, Rosenborg Ballklub, on October 26, 1928. Rosenborg is a mainly residential area in Trondheim. Rosenborg enjoyed little success at first, moving constantly between the lower divisions of the regional series. Yet their performance was improving and in 1931 the team qualified for the highest level, and 1 year later they played in the Norwegian Cup for the first time. It was also at this time that Rosenborg started planning for a new home ground at Lerkendal, although this project was not completed until after World War II. The breakthrough, Rosenborg's youth team has been one of the best in the country ever since the club was founded, and an especially talented generation of youth players during the 1950s would grow up to form the basis for the first team's success in the 1960s and onwards. In 1960 they were promoted to the highest level in Norwegian football, the main league. In the same year Rosenborg progressed all the way to the final of the championship, where they faced Odd, the team from which they had adopted their original name in 1917, as well as their colours. It took a rematch to decide the winner, but Rosenborg were able to claim their first trophy. Rosenborg won the cup again in 1964, but had in the meantime gotten themselves relegated to the second division, where they played from 1963 to 1966. Rosenborg were once again back in the top flight in 1967, and this would prove to be a highly successful year for the club. Led on by such players as Harald Sund, Nils Arne Eggen, and the talented young forward Odd Iversen, Rosenborg won their first league title. Iversen scored 17 goals in 18 matches that year, and would go on to score a massive 30 goals in the following season, although he alone could not prevent Rosenborg from being beaten to the title by Lyn. By the end of the 1960s it was clear that Rosenborg had emerged as one of Norway's leading football clubs. The 1960s saw Rosenborg venture onto the European stage for the first time. As winners of the Cup in 1964, the club debuted in the Cup Winners' Cup the following year. 3 years later, Rosenborg entered the European Cup as winners of the league. Ups and downs, Rosenborg hired Englishman George Curtis as coach ahead of the 1969 season. Curtis introduced the new 4-4-2 formation and shifted focus towards tactics and organisation rather than all-out attacking football. This move worked well to begin with, as Rosenborg were crowned league winners for the third time. However, when both Odd Iversen and Harald Sand left the club, Rosenborg virtually stopped scoring goals and failed to win again in 1970. Curtis was criticised for being too defensively minded and was replaced by recently retired player Nils Arne Eggen, who reverted to a more crowd-pleasing style of play. Eggen's first of 5 tenures as coach was a resounding success. Rosenborg won the double. The double win in 1971 marked the end of the club's first golden age. Rosenborg lost the cup final 2 years in a row and began to struggle in the league. A flurry of coaches came and went without making an impact, and in 1977 the team won only one match the entire season, finishing dead last. Nils Arne Eggen was then called in for his third tenure, from 1978 to 1982, and with the return of the now 35-year-old Odd Iversen, Rosenborg climbed back into the first division the following year. In 1979, Iversen became top goal scorer for the 4th time in his career, but by the time he had retired in 1982, the club had still not regained its former glory. That would finally happen in 1985 when, after 14 trophyless years, Rosenborg defeated Lillestrøm in the final match of the season to win the league by a single point. Domination. The year 1985 may have been a turning point in Rosenborg's fortunes, but it was in 1988 that things really started to happen. The club received fresh capital from its new main sponsor and was fully professionalized. Nils Arne Eggen returned to Trondheim to once again become head coach, this after leading Moss to the league title in 1987. In the waning years of the 1980s, the club secured double wins twice, in 1988 and 1990. Rosenborg went on to dominate Norwegian club football throughout the 1990s. In strong contrast to the Norwegian national team's defensive and often criticized style of play at the time, Rosenborg achieved success through strict adherence to crowd-pleasing, offensive football. The Norwegian Premier League, established in 1991, was won 13 times in a row from 1992 onwards. The Norwegian Cup was won 5 times. In 1995, Rosenborg qualified for the UEFA Champions League for the first time, a feat which helped secure the club's finances and further cement its dominance at the domestic level. The income provided through successive qualifications has allowed Rosenborg to become by far the wealthiest club in Norway. Always able to offer the most promising new players better terms than their opponents, as well as the prospect of playing in Europe, Rosenborg were assured of future league championships and European qualifications. During this period, few clubs were ever able to mount a serious challenge for more than a season at a time. European adventures. Rosenborg participated in the group phase of the Champions League 11 times in the 13 years between 1995 to 2007. 8 of them were consecutive, which was a record until 2004, when Manchester United qualified for the group phase for a 9th successive year. Rosenborg have on 2 occasions managed to progress beyond the first group stage of the Champions League. In the 1996 Euro 97 season, they were heading for an early exit, but with Milan squandering valuable points, the stage was set for a deciding match at San Siro. Rosenborg defeated Milan 2-1, ousting the Italians and putting themselves in the quarter-finals, where they lost 3-1 on aggregate against Juventus. In the 1999 Euro 2000 season, Rosenborg won their group to secure a place in the second group stage. The most memorable game was away against Borussia Dortmund, who were defeated 3-0. Other highlights include the 2-0 win against Real Madrid and a 5-1 victory over Olympiacos, both in the 1997 Euro 98 season. There have also been some dismal performances, particularly against French teams. Rosenborg lost 0-5 to Lyon in 2002 and were crushed 2-7 by Paris Saint-Germain in 2000. The Norwegians failed to qualify in 2003, losing out to Deportivo La Coruña +or-, but managed to qualify again in 2004 after beating Maccabi Haifa, and in 2005 Euro. Despite the disappointing Sassuolo Euro, they qualified for the 10th time after winning 4-3 against Steaua Bucuresti on registered trademark T. Rosenborg managed to qualify for the 11th time in 2007. The club impressed with a 1-1 draw away against Chelsea and beating Valencia 2-0 both home and away. In July 2009, Rosenborg was eliminated from the UEFA Europa League in the second qualifying round against Karabakh of Azerbaijan. A year later, in August 2010, Rosenborg were eliminated in the UEFA Champions League in the playoff round, after a 2-2 draw against Danish side Copenhagen, with Copenhagen qualifying due to the away goals rule. Consolidation. At the end of 2002, Rosenborg saw the retirement of Nils Arne Eggen after many successful years, during which he was only relieved once, in the 1998 season, by his assistant, Trond Solid. Eggen was replaced by Joar Hansen, who had previously led both Helsingborg and Brøndby to championships in their respective leagues. Hansen asserted that in order to not only stay ahead at the domestic level, but also perform better at the European level, Rosenborg would have to become more cynical and focus more on defensive skill, while still maintaining the offensive play that had made the team so strong in the first place. The new manager also highlighted the need to renew the aging squad, whose continuity had been another key to the club's success. Many of the players had been in the club since the start of the 1990s. In a controversial move, Hansen began this process by releasing the popular Bent Skjelsrud, who subsequently retired. Under new leadership, Rosenborg laid waste to the league, losing only 3 games and winning 14 points ahead of runners-up Bodø/Glimt. The club claimed its 7th double, again defeating Bodø/Glimt in the cup final. Despite failing to qualify for the Champions League, Rosenborg had enjoyed another great season and it looked like Hansen's beginning reforms were paying off. But 2003 turned out to be his one and only season at the club as he accepted an offer to lead the Norwegian national team in December of that year. He was replaced by his assistant Ole Bay Riise, a notable former goalkeeper and goalkeeping coach at the club. Troubled times. With Hansen's unexpected departure at the end of 2003, the club failed to properly execute the reforms he had begun. It also became clear that with the increased flow of capital into Norwegian football, some clubs were finally beginning to perform at a more consistent level close, or even equal, to that of Rosenborg. Rosenborg were no longer able to dominate every match, instead taking on the appearance of a team fed up with success. Rosenborg were league winners again in 2004, but it was only through more scored goals that they were able to claim the title. Ole Bay Riise's contract was terminated in October, even though he succeeded in leading the team to the Champions League, and for some time it was uncertain who would take over. In November the club announced the return of Nils Arne Eggen as a sort of advisor to former assistant manager, Joar Hansen, who was promoted to manager. Joar Hansen and ruːsən๑bɔrj would also act as assistant managers. The scheme proved so unsuccessful that Rosenborg's 2005 season was for the most part a disaster. The club battled to avoid falling into the relegation zone for much of the season. Eggen left his role midways, and Joar Hansen left, probably under pressure, in August. Per-Mathias Højgård followed Hansen as the club's manager immediately after his departure. His first months were marred by a series of embarrassing losses and an early exit from the cup, but with a late-season return to form the team held onto its place in the top flight and finishing third in the Champions League group stage, qualifying them for the UEFA Cup. Turbulence. Rosenborg's woes continued in the spring of 2006. Halfway through the season, rival Brann held a commanding 10-point lead. On July 27, Per-Mathias Højgård went on sick leave, citing burnout as the cause. Assistant manager Knut Tarum took up the reins. For the third time in 3 years, an assistant would take the helm. This time, however, it was a complete success. Rosenborg won 8 straight games, gobbling up Brann's lead, and finally overtaking them. On October 22, in what was described as the biggest clash since the Battle of Stiklestad, Rosenborg defeated Brann away, giving the club a 6-point lead with 2 rounds to go. The following weekend, Rosenborg defeated Viking, securing the club's 20th league title. On October 31, Per-Mathias Højgård ended prolonged speculation on whether he would return and in what role, when he held a press conference where he stated that he resigned as manager with immediate effect, and would withdraw from football altogether. Tarum accepted an offer to be the permanent manager. Another resignation came on February 11, 2007, when director Rune Bratseth announced his resignation, citing among other things huge pressure from the media as his reason to resign. He was replaced by Joar Hansen, son of former manager Nils Arne Eggen, from August 1. Despite the good result in 2006, manager Tarum wasn't able to gain the same success in the 2007 season. That, together with his troubles to get along with director Joar Hansen, resulted in his resignation on October 25, 2007. Assistant manager Trond Henriksen took charge of the club for the remainder of the 2007 season. Rosenborg finished the season in 5th place. After Tarum's resignation, Rosenborg started negotiating with Trond Solid to fill the head coach vacancy. Solid, who since his departure in 1998 had become emeritus coach in Belgium, had earlier been linked back to Rosenborg at several occasions. After a lengthy process, Solid turned down the job, giving ammunition to those criticizing the way in which Rosenborg has dealt with their recurring head coach issue in the latter years. On December 28, Rosenborg announced Erik Hamre Copyright-N as their new coach for the 2008 season. Hamre Copyright-N started as coach in Rosenborg on June 1, 2008, after he had fulfilled his duties as coach for Rosenborg BK. Days before Hamren's arrival, Joar Hansen announced his immediate resignation. The media speculated Eggen's resignation had been demanded by Hamre Copyright-N in order to gain total control over the club. At July 27, 2008, Rosenborg became the first Norwegian team ever to win a final match in the UEFA Intertoto Cup, beating Dutch team NAC Breda 2-1 on aggregate. The win put RBK in the second qualifying round of the 2008 Euro 09 UEFA Cup, where they advanced to the group stage. They did not win the Intertoto Cup, however. Under rules instituted for the 2006 competition, the trophy is awarded to the Intertoto Cup club that advances farthest in the UEFA Cup. In the group stage, Rosenborg failed to impress, finishing last with 2 points. The club also failed in the league, finishing at a disappointing 5th place, for the second year in a row. In front of the 2009 season, Hamre Copyright-N brought several new players to Rosenborg, one of them being Raid Preker, who Hamre Copyright-N knew well from Aalborg. At the end of the season, Rosenborg won the league with 69 points, 13 points ahead of the nearest rival Molde FK. Rosenborg lost only one league game, a 3-2 loss against IK Start. Rosenborg had their run for taking the double stopped by Molde in the Cup's quarter-final, losing 5-0. The club got their revenge in late September, when they defeated Molde in the league and by that secured their 21st league title. On May 20, 2010, it was decided that Nils Arne Eggen would lead Rosenborg out the 2010 season. He took over after Erik Hamre Copyright-N, who went to be the manager for the national team of Sweden. Erik Hamre Copyright-N's last match was a 2-1 away win against Viking FK on May 24. On October 24, 2010, Rosenborg won the league for the 22nd time after winning 1-0 over Tromsø IL. November 7, Rosenborg played the last league game of season against Ålesund, who ended in a 2-2 draw, which meant that they went unbeaten all season in the league competition. Jan Jar Paragraph NSSON, whose contract with Stabæk ended after the 2010 season, was hired as head coach ahead of the 2011 season, and he led the team for 2 seasons, where Rosenborg finishing third in the league and qualified for the Europe League group stage both years. However, The club was not happy with Joar Hansen's results as head coach and he was sacked on December 7, 2012. Back to the roots, as a search for a new head coach, Joar Hansen was linked to Rosenborg, but the message was not well received from the supporters. Hansen's previous stay at Lerkendal ended poorly, and therefore many fans were skeptical to him as the replacement for Joar Hansen. On December 14, 2012, Joar Hansen was confirmed as new head coach, with the ambition to take Rosenborg back to the top of the league. Hansen's first major modification was changing from Rosenborg's regular 4-4-2 to the more aggressive 4-3-3 as they played in the 90s, taking the team back to the roots. Hansen's change of formation did not become well received when Rosenborg only scored 3 goals in their 8 pre-season matches. Anyway, after half the season finished, the team impressed everyone with great progress in the Norwegian Cup, being second in the league, and as expected progressing from the Europa League first qualifying round by beating Northern Irish Crusaders 2-1 away and ending with 7-2 victory at Lerkendal. Sadly, the beginning of second half of the season shocked everyone when Rosenborg was surprisingly beaten by St Johnstone in the Europa League second qualifying round. Fraser Wright's goal earned the Scottish side a memorable 1-0 victory in Norway before fighting back from an early goal to draw 1-1 at home. This was enough to secure a 2-1 aggregate victory for St Johnstone. Rosenborg continued to gather points in the league, but was shocked when they lost to relegation-threatened Tromsø in the 23 round. They finished in second place, only 1 point behind Strømsgodset, much argued because lack of performance at home field. As a positive end of the season, Rosenborg had managed to enter the cup final against arch-rival Molde. This was Rosenborg's first cup final since 2003, when they beat Bodø/Glimt 3-1. Unfortunately for Rosenborg, they lost the match 2-4 after leading 2-1. In June 2014, after a disappointing spring season with elimination from the cup in the third round against Trondheim, lack of stable performance in the league and an embarrassing defeat against Sligo Rovers in the Europa League, it was decided to fire head coach Joar Hansen and assistant coach Bjarne Wiggen. Former Rosenborg player and assistant coach Karl-Henry Ingebrigtsen was presented as new coach on July 21, 2014, and already sports director Erik Hoftun was presented as assistant coach. Colours and badge: the founding members of Rosenborg bought their first kits in 1918. The shirts were blue with a yellow vertical stripe on the front and the shorts were white. The current white shirts and black shorts, introduced in 1931, were another tribute to the football club odd. A shirt sponsor was introduced in 1971. Home kit: white shirt and black shorts. Away kit: black shirt and black shorts. Third kit: red shirt and red shorts. Stadium: Rosenborg play their home matches at Lerkendal Stadion, an all-seater stadium located at Lerkendal, 3 kilometers south of the city centre. It has 4 three-tier grandstand without corners with a capacity for 21,166 spectators, of which 1,338 are in club seating and luxury boxes on the centre tier of all 4 stands. The stadium is part of Lerkendal Idrettspark, which also consists of 3 training pitches, 2 in full size and of which 1 has artificial turf. The club's offices are located in Brakke, a German-built barracks dating from World War II. Lerkendal Stadion opened on August 10, 1947 as the main athletics and football venue in Trondheim, owned by the municipality. Rosenborg took Lerkendal into use from the 1957 Euro 58 season. The first major rebuilding of the venue took place ahead of the 1962 season, when the wooden stands were torn and replaced with concrete stands on both long sides, and the south stand received a roof. Floodlighting was installed in 1968 to allow UEFA club tournament matches to be held at the venue. The official all-time record at Lerkendal is 28,569 from the 1985 season league, the final against Lillestrøm. After the 1995 season, the first part of the current stadium was built to allow for modern facilities for UEFA matches. The short sides were finished in 2001, and the final long stand was completed in 2002. The expansion also saw Rosenborg and private investors purchase the stadium. Players and staff, current squad, updated August 5, 2014. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Out on loan. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. For season transfers, see Transfers Winter 2011 Euro 12 and Transfers Summer 2012. Retired numbers: 6 Euro Rostrand, midfielder, reserve squad, as of July 1, 2014, according to the official Rosenborg website. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Coaching staff, administrative staff, recent seasons. In European football. The following is a list of the all-time statistics from Rosenborg's games in the 4 UEFA tournaments it has participated in, as well as the overall total. The list contains the tournament, the number of games played, won, drawn and lost. The number of goals scored, goals against, goal difference and the percentage of matches won. The statistics include qualification matches and is up to date as of the 2013 Euro 14 season. The statistics also include goals scored during extra time where applicable. In these games, the result given is the result at the end of extra time. Records. The club's record win is 17 Euro 0 in a cup match against Bivik in 2003. The league record is 10 Euro 0 against Brann in 1996 and the Champions League record is 6 Euro 0 against Helsingborg in 2000. In the league, the team had a record 87 Euro 20 goal difference in 1997, claimed a record 69 points in 2009 and went undefeated in 2010. Rosenborg was relegated after the 1977 season having won just a single match. The record home attendance is 28,569 spectators at Lerkendal Stadion against Lillestrøm in 1985. Rostrand, who played 21 seasons between 1989 and 2010, has played 416 league matches, more than any other Rosenborg player. He has also won the most titles with the club, having won the league 16 times and the cup 5 times. With 151 league goals, Harold Martin Brattbakk is the club's all-time top scorer and was the league's top scorer during 6 seasons. Sigurd Rushfeldt is the league's all-time top scorer, although he scored a majority of these for Tromsø. Odd Iversen holds the record for most goals in a single match and season, with 6 and 30 respectively. The club received its highest transfer fee for John Carew. They received 75 million Norwegian krone when he was sold to Valencia in 2000. Honours: Norwegian First Division/Norwegian Premier League, winners 1967, 1969, 1971, 1985, 1988, 1990, 1992, 1993, 1994, 1995, 1996, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2006, 2009, 2010, runners-up, 1968, 1970, 1973, 1989, 1991, 2013, Norwegian Football Cup, winners 1960, 1964, 1971, 1988, 1990, 1992, 1995, 1999, 2003, runners-up, 1967, 1972, 1973, 1991, 1998, 2013, Superfinalen, winners 2010, Intertoto Cup, co-winner, 2008, La Manga Cup, winners 1999, 2001, 2003, managers, references and notes, notes. Bibliography, Svardal, Gu. Historien om Rosenborg Ballklub 1917 Euro 2007. Trondheim, Tapir Akademisk Forlag. ISBN A978-82-519-2188-6. References. External links, official site, Norwegian, English. RBKWEB No.